Alright, hi everybody, Kevin Kramer here for drawingandcoloring.com. We're in the stage 2 of drawing a realistic eye. I hope you got some pretty good results from the first one, from the first video. If you haven't, go ahead and, if you haven't watched that one, go ahead and watch it now so we can actually get up to speed with us. And in this second video, we're going to go ahead and shade the eyeball to make it actually come together and give it a little more depth. And yeah, so I guess we can go over the materials again that we have today. It's going to be the same 2B pencil, that same eraser, that Factus eraser, any eraser will do again, and pencil sharpener. We are going to have a few additions here. They actually really come in handy, especially when adding some realistic tone and depth to your images. And that's going to be this guy. That is a, let's put it that way so it doesn't work. That is a stump. And what that does is pretty much magic. That will give everything tone within seconds, more so than any pencil or cross hatching or hatching could ever do. And this is probably going to be your go-to guy whenever you're creating some really smooth, realistic tones. And the other thing, it's not absolutely necessary in this, but and the Factus eraser will do just fine, but it is a kneaded eraser. This can add some details that are just almost impossible to get with a pencil. This will pick up very, very slight amounts of graphite from, as you can see, it's kind of right there already, slight amounts of graphite from the paper and give you results that there's no other possible way that you could get those with a pencil directly. So with those out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. So now we have the outline of the eye. We have all the major shapes. What we're going to start doing is kind of starting to clean it up so we can add in that realism and detail. So first what we want to do is go ahead and erase the first big circle that we drew, just because, you know, you don't see that in the eye. That's what the eyelids are doing. They're kind of hugging that circle. That's why we drew it in the first place. So go ahead and erase all of the major lines from there. You could probably leave maybe one or two down there just because, but there you go. That's kind of just cleaning it up. That's all we're doing right now. Just cleaning up those first sketch lines that we drew, just to get it to the starting point for where we're going to start adding the realism. Alright, so as you can see, we have the iris and the pupil already shaded in. We have the eyelids and the lower lid and those little eye glands in the corners. So what I would first do is, it's always easiest is to start actually with the iris. And what you do with the iris is, what I learned is, if you look on the outside, there's a darker line or darkness on the outside of the iris. Once you get that in there, then you kind of do like a polygraph test. You just kind of do some quick sketches in there. You can even do like you want, like that. And that'll pretty much even just bring it together automatically. And if that's picking up, you'll be able to see it. I'll draw it a little darker. And then once you have that on the outside, go ahead and do it a little bit on the inside. And just kind of follow the shape of the circle with it. You don't want to just do like this all the way around, because obviously that won't look like you're not following the shape with that. So once you have those little squiggly lines down, that's when I go ahead and take this and then just fill it in. You could even do the same thing with it, just to give it a little more depth. And what that does is you can still see those lines underneath, right? And so that's going to add a little more depth. If you look at your eyeball, there's multiple layers, there's levels, and it just kind of, it's like a deep abyss. You're just constantly going. You can see all these different levels and colors and things you probably never even thought were in there. So if you just draw those lines first, and then you take your stump and then you fill it in, and just kind of blend it together. You want to blend it on the outside, blend it on the inside, just like you did. And what that does, it creates a nice circle, and it has that light tone in the middle that always picks up those highlights and things that you see. If you just look in the mirror, you'll see that as well. And a lot of the times what you can do to even smooth that out further is just, get a little piece of napkin here. Just a piece of a paper towel. Good. And then you can just do this. And that gives it a nice, soft look. And that really actually helps when you go to do the eyelid. So at this point, go ahead and fill in those little squiggly lines. And if you don't have a stump like this, you can actually make one. And I guess I'll maybe make a tutorial or something on how to make one. But just go ahead and get a piece of paper towel, or even toilet paper, or a Q-tip will work fine. And just kind of blend it in until you have a nice smooth gradient in between the middle and the outside of the eye. Now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and start on the eyelid here. Just want to get, since this kind of goes like a fold into the eye, you want to have that more of a darker. At this point, whenever you're doing anything on the face, any kind of realistic shading at all, is just a gradient. You're creating gradients. So you just want to do, you can do this, like just that. It won't maybe look as real as initially you might want, but it'll give you a good practice on how to kind of simulate those shading and folds in the skin and give you some kind of perspective. See, here you go. It's like, just want to have, if you have a darker line, do a darker line, and then you can just do lighter lines. Darker line, lighter lines. And just blend them together. That's all you gotta do, is just blend them together. This has a little bit more graphite, and it actually has a little charcoal on it, I think, which is probably why this is getting super dark. But if you're kind of wondering where's all that color coming from, how do you get it on there, I'll just get a different pencil real quick. All you gotta really do is just take a pencil, just kind of scribble on the paper real quick, and then just do this, and it'll pick it. It'll pick the graphite up, and then you can just kind of color with it. It's almost like to color in what you do at this point. But you do want to make sure, if you pick up a lot, then it will come on a lot darker, so you might have to erase a little bit some places. See, that's a little darker than we probably want to go, but I was kind of just giving you some demonstrations on how to use that. Again, then we go down here. Just follow the lines that we drew and make them a little darker. It gives it that depth already, just kind of, it gives it that illusion of a fold in the skin. And you could just, you don't even have to really do anything else, just kind of fill it in with lighter. If you have a dark line here, it'll pretty much take off all the graphite that you were using, and the other lines will automatically be lighter and give it that gradient that you're looking for. So There you go. At this point, go ahead and kind of, I guess, just follow the contour lines that we drew, those outlines, and make them, give them that dark line with your stump, or you know, a napkin or whatever you can find. Probably a Q-tip would probably work best for this part. Just follow that line and get it dark so it makes it look like there's a fold, because that's what we're doing, is we're creating that shadow where the fold of the skin is. So go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back. So now what we're going to do is, you can see how we have all of this shaded, but the eyeball itself is pure white, and that's almost never the case. The eyeball is never going to be pure white like that. It's just, it never is. One easy way to do that is you can use this, and if you do, you really want to be careful, because you don't want to make it super dark, because even like if you look at this eyelid, the eyelid is still, it's actually kind of, it's pretty dark. It's a little darker than I would want to go. But if you look at this, if you see the side, so you're still even kind of picking up a little bit. The further in that you can use it, the lighter it'll shade. And if you're really careful, you can kind of shade it nice and blend it in right there, just like that. But you don't want to overdo it. You just want to give it a little tone so you can see that it's not pure white. You want to give it a light gradient. And you can see it's got a little more depth in it now. So yeah, if you can just use the outside, or you can use a Q-tip, it all works fine. So go ahead and kind of work on that. Pause the video, and then we'll come back. Okay, now that we're back, you can see that we have pretty much all of the shading that we're going to need done at this point. This is pretty much all the shading. At this point, it's just going to be refining lines and adding a little darkness with the pencil. So I'm actually going to go ahead and sharpen my pencil up a little bit. This is like a needle now, so we're really going to see the lines, but now we're just going to go back over those contour lines that we initially drew, that were kind of softened by that pencil, by the stump that we were using the first. And then we're just going to go and refine some of those lines now, just to kind of suggest that that fold is there by some real line that we drew. Because that's what the shading did. It kind of set the stage for drawing in these finer lines to give it that depth. So could probably go in. I have a smaller one as well. It works good for little bitty things like this little guy here in the middle. And then let's go in. Can add a little more depth on that. And that's actually about it with the lines for the refining of the lines. You can make them a little darker as they approach the top of the eye, because we're actually going to be drawing. You want to draw a little bit of shadow in there just because of the overhang of the eyelid. That gives it a little more realistic. If you can see how that works. Kind of just blend it across the eye, even into the white. Just because of that, it adds that shadow. It adds that shadow to the entire eye itself. So, as you can see, we're pretty much done with this one. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and refine, add some more detail, make it darker, and kind of really bring it to life. It looks good now, but it can look a lot better in the next video. We're going to go ahead and show how you do that. And if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments section below. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one.